think we probably need that one because that's a fairly significant point.
Thanks. I'm not good at jumping up and down right now.
That makes two of us.
At least we understand.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And if we were to do it, our suggestion would, from a training purpose, what we would do is we would budget to start it not this year, but the following year. We could.
So
So it'd be-
1/1/16?
Yes.
Instead of 1/1/15?
Yes. I mean, I mean, if you push this, is it doable? Yeah, it's going to push, but we'll do whatever we need to do.
So your recommendation is we stay with the agreement this year.
Yes, because
Okay.
it's not just the hiring people. We have to have enough lead time to hire
Thanks, sir.
people and to train people. And it involves both full and part-timers. You've got a copy, thank you, you've got a copy of schedule included with your original handout. It looked at 12-hour shifts, which are the most efficient for personnel usage. Not necessarily the most efficient, but most efficient for personnel usage with the minimal numbers that we felt worked on it. And it was interesting that they came up with basically the same numbers independently. Aaron and Robin came up, and Robin has done major dispatching in the Pacific Northwest. And she would had those duties as supervisor added to her. She's truly a blessing to have on board with us.
So I'm just curious, why do you think it takes more people to do law and fire than just law only?
Well, if you look at the schedules, there's number one schedule, number two schedule. If we have a fire event going on, that absolutely dominates the dispatcher's time. And we always have law enforcement happening. Sometimes fire happens, sometimes fire doesn't happen. And if you're doing Cole County Fire, you have to remember that you're dealing with multiple agencies, multiple fire districts. So if you look at what it takes to do just law, that's section number 2. And then the addendum to it is looking at the fire schedules and trying to anticipate what their needs are. And in all honesty, I'm not a firefighter. And neither is Aaron. I don't think you've ever been a firefighter, and Robin's not. But we're doing the best we can with them to anticipate that.
So when I look at,
Hey,
so
well, I want to hear the fire. Mike, do you have any input on the fire side?
Other than what we are accustomed to with the cousin-esque business we jointly provide with EMS, from our side of it during the day is quite intense as far as their involvement with us. Now, Jeff Central dispatches city fire to EMS incidents within the city, but our relationship on a daily period is quite intense. So from the county side of it, the EMS side is covered by the first responders. We all are familiar with that. So from our side of the fence, specific to fire involvement with what we do, other than the extrication accidents, structure fires, things of major significance, we don't coalesce with county fire as we do with city fire. So our involvement or burden that we would add to the sheriff from the EMS side involving fire would be very minuscule, because we would continue to dispatch the first responders as we do currently.
In other words, they don't work with county fire very often.
Very often. It's
Right.
not to the magnitude we do with city.
Okay.
And when
Sorry.
fire responds,
All right.
they have multiple. It's like there's no radio traffic, and then there's volumes of radio traffic.
Okay. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I mean, I just like to go through. So when I look at this sheet number 1, you got basically
Are you talking about the whole form, or are you talking about the work schedule?
talking about the work schedule.
Okay. You're probably deal more with this than that.
So you got one dispatcher on and one fire dispatcher on, basically all week long. Is that right? 7A, 7P. And then you got one dispatcher and one fire dispatcher, 7P to 7A.
That is correct.
Okay. And then we got some part-time just to kind of cover some just a float, or I'm
If
just kind
if you do 12-hour shifts,
Mhm.
that's a 48-hour week. That's 8 hours of overtime. And
Right.
we're trying to make that not happen by using part-time people. So we're trying to reduce the overtime impact. Does that
so
make sense?
they'd try to pick up 8 hours a week on those 48-hour shifts.
Is
It's
it-
every 2 weeks, but that's correct. I think it's actually comes up to 44 hours every 2, or 4 hours overtime every
Right.
2 weeks. So the game plan is the part-time people are going to come in, and they're going to be able to let the full-time people leave 4 hours early or come in 4 hours later at some point in that, towards the end of that 2-week pay period.
Okay. But there's some shifts. I mean, I guess, is it a rotating shift? So if you work 3 days one week, you're working 4 days the next? So there's really only, over a 2-week period, there's only 4 hours overtime.
That's correct.
4 hours, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, that'd be 8 hours, well, a little over 8 hours a month, because it'd be 4 hours every 2 weeks.
Right.
Yes.
And that's just 8 people. Is that right? 8 people, basically, if nobody takes time off and nobody takes
And you still
vacation.
have to have a factor built in for relief.
I understand that,
Okay.
yeah,
As we discussed. so.
right. But if you do law only, we're only down to 6. I don't understand the difference.
There's still a minimum impact. If you dispatch it all, there's a minimum number it takes to do that. And anything that you add to it is not going to double it, but it's going to add to the amount. There's a minimum staffing level that it takes to meet the people on the ground.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't really want to get into that, but, anyway, what's some of the, what is the PSAP? Are they required to, if we were to do that, since Jeff City's the PSAP, are they required to forward
the
us?
calls. Yes.
Okay. And that's at no charge to us if we do
Right.
that?
Because they get the law enforcement sales tax on it.
Hang on, I want to, can we confirm that? I mean,
It
we
was-
talked about this last week, and I think we'd asked you to take a look at that. Did you? Were you?
No.
We want to make sure, or maybe we asked you to look at it. I don't
The
know.
last time I looked at it was 2 years ago.
but we need-
and that's what
I
the law
mean-
said.
The only way this thing would make sense is if we don't have to pay the city anything.
Right.
If there's a statute out there that says they have to transfer the call at no cost, that's great. If there's a statute out there that doesn't say that,
Well, I would suggest that we get Jill.
I
to
mean,
take
I think
a look
that's
at
pretty
that.
critical to this analysis.
Aside from Jill doing her diligence, there is no statute that delineates the no cost.
Because they transfer to you.
They transfer to us.
And before, do you know offhand, before you guys came over here, because we,
Right, there was no stipend or however you want to.
You didn't
describe
pay?
it. We did not.
The most efficient way to do 911 is to have a single PSAP, personnel-wise. I think the issue comes down to is, I think it's critical that we all look at this and do what's most cost-effective for the county, but I think that the city also needs an opportunity to be able to say, well, okay, so you're saying you can do it for this, and it's negotiation. And if they can't, then I think that, whatever decision you all make, we will fly with it.
I don't think we're here to make a decision today, but
I agree.
we're here to gather some information, and so, so I want to know the answer. Go ahead.
Whomever holds the PSAP, that is the holder of the obligation to distribute the information. The onus is on that entity or that whoever individual that holds the PSAP to distribute the emergency calls in that manner.
And Jill's going to be much more effective at pulling the statute on that than either Mike or myself, not to throw you under the bus.
You do a good job.
Thanks.
So you guys are looking at Cole County Fire. Does Cole County Fire currently contribute to the city to dispatch their calls?
Yes,
Yes.
Do they? I don't know.
they do it on a per call basis.
So if we were to take over that, then they could,
It would be their option.
at their option, they could pay us to dispatch their calls.
We would have to reach out and talk to them.
Right, right.
And that might help cover some of the cost, the incremental cost. Do
I
you have
wish
any
there were-
feel for what the chiefs and the fire districts, would they be interested in this, or would they be opposed to this?
Probably some of both.
I think you need to engage them officially to garner their opinion, but I don't think it's been openly discussed formally in a meeting that I have knowledge of. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I wish there were easy answers.
Wow. Never easy answers. I mean, I like your idea of a non-partisan joint communications, not city, not county, just a standalone. I mean, I don't know that that'll ever happen, but I mean, I would like to engage the city in this discussion, and I know talking to Wheeler, he doesn't feel like you guys get a whole lot of input in the 911 advisory group, and so.
Well, if you look at the makeup of the advisory board, the city representatives are both former police officers.
Mhm.
For what that's worth.
I understand.
I think that the new city manager is easier to work with, at least from my standpoint. And from that category, I think that he might be willing to look at the makeup of it and understand that and Chris, you said it, it's an advisory board, which means no matter what advice they give, there's no obligation.
And the agreement that we entered into, I think is clear on that there is no obligation. It's more of a information conduit than it is anything else. Have we got any information on what the capital cost next year will be for them to upgrade their system, or whether they're going to do that next year?
You all are the ones that get the information from them.
But we don't get anything till,
Right.
And I
mean-
did call into the city, just assuming
Yeah.
that their budget was approved, and it's not approved
no,
yet.
it's not until November.
So they directed me to the mayor's approved budget.
But it doesn't show capital. I need to know the
That's not-
capital number.
Yeah. I don't know if it was in the paper the other day. I didn't know if they threw a number out.
Well, but their budget is going to depend
They didn't.
greatly on.
What was?
The money to make the improvements.
All right. Then I think, Jill, can you prepare a letter to the mayor and the city administrator, asking them for what amount they have budgeted for that, and reference the fact that we have till October 15th to make a decision, and we need that number to know what our decision is. Because last year we spent $350,000 or whatever, but the way I read that agreement, if they upgrade their system, they pass on a quarter of that cost to us. And if it's $1 million upgrade, that's a whole lot more money.
Can I try emailing Drew first?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can get the information. We would
He
prefer
and
to
I
get.
work really well together.
That's fine.
That's
I'd
great.
prefer a phone call or email or something. So. But-
Well, and again, we said that our preference would be, is if we have to do this, is that we do it fiscal year for
Well,
us 16.
But here's
But
my
that doesn't mean
perspective.
we-
Here's my thought on it. If they're going to do this big capital upgrade this next year, and it's going to cost us potentially a bunch of money,
Then we need to do it.
then we have to do it now.
Yeah, I understand.
If they're not going to do the upgrade, they're going to push the upgrade off another year. That's a different ballgame.
Which-
But the only reason this makes sense to really get into at this point is because of that potential very large additional cost that could be coming this year.
So your point of October 15th becomes critical to us.
And it becomes critical to us.
Yeah.
And that's
If
not that
anything
far away.
else- If anything else comes up on this, just send me an email. If I don't have the answer, Aaron will get it.
Congratulations.
Well, I mean, I think we need some answers, but do we need to reach out to them and say, hey, we'd like to negotiate this contract, or, because we're basically saying if we don't agree to this contract, we're not saying that we won't agree to something, but, I'm just asking.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean,
Yeah.
do we need to have a sit down with the city and negotiate a contract? I don't know. Maybe the first thing to do is get an answer from the city on this capital cost, see what that's going to amount to, And, if it is gonna be this year, then the two options would be stand up a new 911 on our own or renegotiate the contract. Because biting the bullet for, however much money, I've heard all sorts of numbers tossed out on what the upgrade would be.
When-
And it all comes from news reports. It's all,
Yeah, so,
I
until
mean-
you get the facts, there's.
I've heard as much as $1.5 million.
And is that all in next year's, or was it in this year's budget for them?
Well, it's in to be done next year. Yeah.
I think the bigger question, and I know you guys are on Moswin, and they're not. Are they upgrading equipment that is basically outdated equipment, and or are they-
Technologically, yes.
I mean, so that to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense to spend that kind of money to update something that the sheriff and the highway patrol and the Capitol Police have all switched to Moswin, and I mean, it's all I think we all need to be on the same page, and so
There's been, statewide, there's been a little discussion, though I can't tell you that it's been huge, but a little discussion about looking at regional PSAPs statewide and making those the PSAPs, which honestly, from my standpoint, is more than adequate. The days have passed where you have to know that you turn left past the sleeping dog underneath the oak tree. CAD has done a marvelous job of taking care of that data. So it can be done differently than it is, and statewide, far more cost effective. But that's as far down the road as the Public Safety Broadband Initiative, which is 10 to 15 years.
and
Well,
so
and they're not going. My understanding is, and again, I'm getting everything. We don't get a good enough information, but my understanding is they're not going to upgrade their system to Moswin at this point. The big part of their upgrade is to be able to take text messages and things like that into their system. That was
Which-
my understanding.
And the interesting part of that is we do that right now,
Right.
and we do it for $600 a year.
Or 1 million,
We do it for $600.
It's a rounding error. Come on.
Which we've offered at no charge to them. I want to make say it
Ellinger.
again, which we've offered at no charge to them.
There you go. Rounding error. No charge or $1 million. Only the city could get that right. Okay. Well, then I think we need to probably move this on to the next agenda. I mean, the 15th stares us down pretty quick. We're a month away from it.
can we reach out to the Chiefs Association and maybe get them or a representative from them to come in and talk to us as well, or?
Yes, but it would have to be at your level to do that. I mean, I think the commission needs to formally engage them if I or the sheriff do that.
And we don't engage the chiefs. We would have to engage the boards. We would.
Okay.
Chiefs are you guys.
Correct.
You guys would engage the chiefs. We would engage the board. I think maybe it would be better for you guys to engage the chiefs and ask them if there's an interest and what their thoughts are on it before we engage the board.
Well, and that's the group that Wheeler regularly attends. I can have him reach out.
Because obviously, if the chiefs, the boards are by and large, they will be inclined to default to their chief for operational issues.
As they should.
And there's really no purpose in us reaching out to a board if all the board's going to do is ask the chief,
Right.
and the chief's going to tell them something. And if they say no, then why do we reach out in the first place,
We can have Wheeler reach out to the chair of the Chiefs Association and do you want a member in the next agenda meeting, or how do you want?
I don't think we need. I don't think we need them here. I just think we need to reach out to them
Find out
and gauge,
their
gauge their temperature on this issue.
Yeah. Yes. No. Yeah. Maybe.
So, from my standpoint, for next week, if you want to engage next week, which pushes things a little bit, but I think we can do it. I'd like to do it at the same time that we also discuss what you asked for us on prisoner housing fees.
What day did we set that?
We didn't.
Oh,
And
okay.
Tuesday's good. I can do Tuesday.
Tuesday the 23rd.
I
You
can
got an
do
agenda
the
there, or?
I don't think we have one.
24th. I
We have
can
one on the
do-
24th.
And I can do the 25th.
Sam, I know you had a.
I can't make it for 24th.
So, do you want to try? Does the 23rd
Or
or
the
the 25th work better for you?
What do we got on the 24th agenda?
Yeah, 25th, I've got a cat.
Bunch of little stuff. I'm sorry, what?
25th, I have a cat free.
Monday or Tuesday?
Can we shift the agenda from the 24th to the 23rd, or
I assume we can.
any problems?
It's just the second reading of-
Just got budget adjustments.
Is that exactly 10 days out, or is it not?
I can-
You can?
If that's all that's on there.
You got surplus titles, abatements for tax penalty for.
Which we're struggling, which we have talked about still.
DHSS, I mean, there's the Purple Heart.
Can we move those to
Proclamation.
the
None of that
23rd,
really-
Debbie?
All
or-
that can be moved. Probably the only thing we'd actually have to discuss would be the tax penalty thing, and that's a bigger discussion we need to have when we get done with this.
So that's just
item.
tentatively on that schedule right
Correct.
now. Okay.
I mean, I'm open on the 23rd if that
23rd works
for
fine for, pardon me, works fine for me.
We're gonna do a standalone agenda, or we're gonna?
Let's just move these 4 or
everything?
5 items. Let's just make our meeting next week on the 23rd.
Okay.
Sam, good?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, anything
Looking out for you.
Sam.
You know, you're a little monochrome today, Sam.
I know, well,
All the way. I mean, it's all one color scheme.
It was dreary outside, so he decided to wear gray.
If my back wasn't hurting so bad, I'd be in a suit. But it's hard. It's hard getting in a suit when you're in pain.
I love that you have a suit going on.
The jacket's the easy part. It's tie and all that, tie and cufflinks and all that stuff. Okay. All right, we'll take it back up on the 23rd.
Thanks.
Thank you all very much.
What about the 911 committee? We got Gary Wilbers and Pee Wee on there for us. I think they
I
should be
thought Gary was the
involved with this.
chair.
Gary's the chair.
But I think they need to be
It's only a
involved with it
three-person
too, because they
committee,
may
isn't
be
it?
able to inject some information into this.
There's another
well.
person I don't know.
Where's our list of?
Randy Hanlon, Ray Bledsoe,
I don't have it.
Pee Wee, Gary's the chair, and somebody else.
Where's our list of boards and commissions at? I know we got one somewhere.
Email too.
Yeah. I might be up here.
Hey, can you not get them to spell Chris right in your spell check, or what?
K-R-I.
Hey, I just for record, I caught that. Just for
It's
the
like
record. Did
Chris
you notice that?
Kringle. K's.
Is it spelled?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
C. It stuck to C. Oh, was it?
I know you want Wrigley back up here.
I got it,
Wow. What a shot across the bow.
So you gotta give me a little kind of.
Ouch. Man.
That was. SCH.
Jim
No,
Garvin.
no, it's the first name.
Jim Garvin.
Jim Garvin. I don't know Jim, do you?
I do. It's Heather Garvin's dad, I think, from Centertown.
Yeah, maybe we should probably reach out to them. I think that's right. I think
Sometimes a little shot maybe
you-
makes you
I-
remember every night.
we did an east and a west,
Yeah.
and then the mayor and I picked the chair.
Yeah.
Is how we did it. We did an east and well, that's how we divided out, was an east and a west. So
Who was the fifth person?
Jim Garvin
Yeah.
from Centertown. All right. Thank y'all.
The only last 2 meetings, if I remember correctly, our only representative has been Gary that's shown up.
Gary Hill.
Gary Wilbers.
Gary Wilbers. Pee Wee went there. We may have to reappoint. But
Well, the last time I
I don't know if
wasn't
there's
there.
anything going on with it.
well, they've been having
before that.
meetings.
We have meetings.
So I get
For
emails
what?
on them.
What's going on with
Pee
it?
Wee was the most recent.
Well,
I mean, I'll show up at some meetings, see if there's nothing going on, hell, I'm gonna do something that's gonna be.
Nah, hang on. Let me find it here because I've got.
we've had an issue that's been going on since we started the kick up on it, and it still hasn't been remediated.
You should. Oh, you don't get
Rose
them forward.
One last night, I just got an email.
All right.
Playoff tickets are on sale at 10 o'clock.
All right.
Cardinals won last night too.
How many games up are they?
They are a game and a half up on the wild card, half game back at Detroit.
Detroit,
Make some
Detroit lost
sunscreen
last night.
once
They
you
got
back-
pounded, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lost like
Well,
16 runs.
Huge series this week
Yeah.
Detroit. Yeah.
at home.
I sent both you guys the last correspondence on the 911
Okay.
advisory board, which included the agenda and the meeting minutes. I didn't realize you guys weren't on the string of people that went out to. So
I had not heard anything about it.
it meets.
Quarterly.
Is it quarterly? It seems like we've met more recently.
We met,
They met last week.
They met when, yeah, I was out with the
I talked to Gary Wilbur Saturday at the Knights Columbus barbecue. He was working, and we had time to just to chat in between stuff. But he doesn't think it's the best idea. So I think we need to get them on board, figure out. You know, if they've been down in the weeds with it, then they may have more to contribute about it.
They're not down in the weeds with it. They get limited information given to them.
I mean, they've surely got the same information as us as costs and stuff on, you know, how many people it's gonna take to run it.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'll respectfully disagree.
If
I'm
they-
thinking
if they've
Gary's
got
got an
it.
idea what's going on with it.
If they've got it, it's never been presented to them in an open meeting when I've been there. And the only one I've missed is the last meeting.
Well, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out how many people you need to run it and what cost and compared to what cost we have now. And then we've got the capital cost. We have no idea what that's gonna be either, which that's not even on here. And this is already more.
No, it's right here. That was that extra page. Was
That's,
handed out.
yeah. I think there's more to it than that.
Did
So
you-
you can take numbers and manipulate them as much as you want to on it. I don't think it's a bad idea to look at it. I don't think it's a bad idea to have a 911 district if we do that. But for us to pull away from the city and duplicate a service, I don't know if I'm on board with that. I'm
Oh,
open to
and
looking
I'm,
at it.
and I'm not disagreeing with
so.
that at all. I
Okay.
think the issue comes down to cost effectiveness and effectiveness in what we do.
I mean, did Debbie send you that email that showed what the 911, the city's budget and how that all breaks out? I mean, it's rather interesting. But anyway, it's taken 20 people, and I didn't count the system analysts, but that's communications operators and communications supervisors. 20 people is how many people they got in that. I mean, that just seems exorbitant, but I mean, maybe it's not. I don't know. I
How
mean,
many, what do they run, 4 full-time?
One person is, from what we've been told, one person is the person that answers the vast majority of the 911 calls, and dispatches us and dispatches county fire, and that person is overwhelmed. And the others, for the most part, do city police and some of the city fire.
And just out of curiosity, when you say dispatch, so I'd just like to know
What that means.
more information. Yeah, what does that mean? Does
Gary's.
that mean that,
Yeah.
okay, so
I think I got it.
a call comes in from, say, the Truman Building.
But he's
Do
not our
they,
representative.
do they just
That's
hit
why I don't know that he
fi-
should
the
be.
fire station down here on Bolivar
Our
and
representatives.
McCarty? Is that right? Bolivar
It's
and
like
High?
an
If it's-
Bolivar
if
and
it's a
High.
fire call.
He's chairing.
I mean, does the bell just
He's gonna
hit,
be
or do
most
they actually
involved
have
with
to
it, so
communicate with the
if
fire
you don't invite
department?
him,
They
that's fine.
activate
I mean, I'm
the
okay.
alarm
I think
and
they'll-
they communicate.
Go ahead and
All
invite
of
him.
them could.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
And they just let them know what type of call is, and then they
They
assess
just-
what.
They tell them you're going to respond to this, and this is the information we currently have. And then they go, we're en route, they respond to that communication. Each person that's en route, each
So it's a
truck's en route.
two-way. There's somebody at that fire station.
Well, as soon as they jump in the truck, they're on the radio. That communication is back and forth between each vehicle that's responding. The first one that arrives on scene is going to establish command. They're going to take them as incident commander. They establish that within the system command structure, and each person that adds to it. And then if the assistant and if the chief shows up and chooses incident command shifts to that chief, that changes, and the dispatchers take care of that operation. It's a manipulation of command structure in the response mode that they're doing throughout the entire operation. Is that a good way to say that?
I guess the thing that I was just curious about is when the call comes in, how do they know how many to dispatch?
When the call, you
They don't.
dial 911 from here, it goes to the PSAP Jeff Central. Jeff Central differentiate between police, fire, and EMS. It's a fire call, depending on if it's an active fire, if it's a medical emergency, there's policy, procedure,
Okay.
operational guides that establishes how many buttons to push. And then on the fire side, when they get the call, they have their own as well that establishes how many trucks to send. There's a lot of things going on in milliseconds that is on paper back
So
somewhere.
there's a protocol that
Correct.
this type of thing comes in and we're sending
Correct.
this.
And there's. and
First,
fire-
first of all, we're sending this, and then we'll call in for backup if need be or whatever.
And fire and EMS have done a far better job than law enforcement in backfilling, which means if you empty out this station, these two stations now absorb coverage for anything else that happens in this station's district. And it's an ongoing process that's initiated with that alarm call.
I mean, I think it's just important that we understand how all that works before we start trying to make decisions on
It's pretty
how to
complex.
do
It is
a
simply,
dispatch.
I describe it as simply complicated, but what I recommend to everybody is take 2 hours out of your day, hook up with Jeff Central, go down there and sit and watch. Come over to EMS, same thing, come over, sit and watch. And you'll see the simple complexity of what we do. And that's the easiest way to familiarize yourself with it. Get in their dispatch, see how the call comes in for a couple hours, then go to a fire station, hey, can I ride along? Just, you'll see the complete chain of the circle of call to healthcare.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
See you next week.
Okay.
All right, I got a couple of items real quick. One is this property tax appeal. We set it for, excuse me, we set it for next Wednesday. Obviously, we moved that meeting. The lady does not want to do it during the daytime. She wants to have a special evening meeting to deal with her tax appeal. I will defer to you guys, but I'm not inclined. This is just regular business. We would do it during the daytime no matter what. I don't know that we would have a special meeting.
I'm not inclined to have a special meeting. If we want to do one in the evening again, and, knock
We
some
have to
stuff
address
out.
it within 30 days of when she sent us the complaint.
I think she can have the option of either, phoning in if she can't.
Which
make
we
it,
offered her.
or Notarized statement, affidavit. I'm not opposed, like I said, not opposed to doing another evening meeting. If I did one in the next 30 days where we're all available, might be a chore, because during the day is,
She sent her letter in on 9/11. So that means we have until October 11th to address it. And fall evenings are really bad for me because of all the sports.
all evenings are bad because of sports right now.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I haven't even been out there yet.
I mean, I can't do Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I could possibly do a Monday. Monday's bad for you.
It's just tell her if
Depends on
there's,
which one, you know.
if there's extenuating circumstances and we need to try to do one in the evening, I don't know that we really need to. But
Well-
I'm not saying I'm going to rule it out and say.
I mean, from what I can tell, and maybe we'll just have Melody talk to her. What I can tell, she doesn't want to appear in person. She wants to appear by phone, and she wants to do it in the evening.
Oh, no. No.
I mean, that's how I read it, don't you?
I mean, I would have her.
I think she thinks maybe that we have evening meetings
Yeah.
and that so let me have Melody talk to her,
Okay.
and we still got a little bit of time. And I think what we'll do is set it for. Do we have a meeting? We have the one on the 23rd. Do we have any other ones coming up?
If she's just going to submit a notarized affidavit of her appeal, that's fine. She can submit it any time, and we can do it during the day.
All right, we'll work it out. We'll figure something out. Next, did you guys each get an invitation to the extension?
Maybe.
It was in an envelope on my chair. The extension, I guess this is the 100th anniversary of the extension this year. I cannot attend that dinner. Do we want to do a resolution? And whichever one of you all can appear, take a resolution over. And it's November 6th at 5:30 to dinner starts at 6:30.
Okay.
I'm out of town. I mean, it's not even an option for me.
Yeah, I think I'm out of town too. So,
I'm
Jeff?
going if you want.
What was the date on that? I forgot.
November
I'm pretty-
6th.
November
I'm pretty
6th.
sure I got it on the calendar already.
Yeah. I know I'm out of town that week.
Huh?
Is that a Wednesday or? I think I'm gone.
Thursday.
4th through the 11th or something there. So.
You and me both. I'm actually gone. I leave the 2nd. I get back the 13th.
I can be your representative.
That's the night of our regular extension meeting, so I've got
Okay.
it on my calendar.
Well, then I'm going to give this to you,
Yeah, we can do a
I'll make sure I got it
resolution.
on my
so we
desk.
can get a good resolution put together, work up something nice. And
Oh.
Sam and you and Jeff, you two can present it. Plus, that's probably a good way to let everybody know Sam's taking over, because by that'll be after the election.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I guess some
Uh,
words
Already
on
has your
that, I
work
think.
in. Yeah.
Those were the two issues I had. Anybody else have anything?
I don't know. I guess I'm disturbed about the comment that sheriff says about the 911 committee doesn't have information. I mean, they're our advisory board. I would think that they had as much or more information as us. So it kind of struck me. I don't know. Why wouldn't they have the information? Why wouldn't they have all this information?
Do we know if they're attending?
Well, and I don't know if Pee Wee wasn't at the meeting for what reason.
Yeah, I don't either.
Maybe he doesn't want on board anymore. We can talk to him about that.
I asked both of them to come next Tuesday, Jim and Pee Wee. Now, I don't know if either will be able to.
Well, I mean, you've been in a lot of those meetings, and sometimes they don't really get down into the weeds and what the actual costs are and how many people it takes and all that stuff. I mean, they just think that's a given. So, and maybe they don't, I mean, just like I don't have the knowledge of the sheriff's radio and all the communications that goes in between there. It's like they've got a bridge or a patch too, because the city's operating on one radio system and we're operating on a different, and so,
Well, then we could eliminate the board then. What are they there for? I don't mean to be mean about it,
Right.
but truthfully, if they don't have more information, they can't come up here and make a recommendation. And, Gary's on the board, I'd say because of his business sense, and he knows people, willing to go to meetings. Pee Wee, he's been on the commission before, so he knows what issues we're dealing with, and he'll look out for the county, so.
right. Well, maybe they should come up here and advise us on whether to renew this contract or not. I mean,
I'd like them in the talks on this and
Yeah.
get their input on it, so.
Well, I like I said, I emailed Pee Wee and Jim Garber and asked them to come. I didn't have Gary's email.
I just got it, I texted him, and so I.
I didn't have it
CC'd
easily,
you.
but I did ask those two guys. I note that on the agenda for last week, the items that were under new business were redundant 911 center, communications operator hiring process update, and replacement of 911 system. So those were the items that were on their agenda. Hopefully they got information about each of those.
Who sent you those? Kay?
Case
Stufer from the city.
Stiefer, I'm not sure that's their name.
I'll shoot her an email and ask her to add us to it, so. I hadn't had anything on it, and we used to get a little information on it. So I'll
Is their
assume they
budget
will.
due October 1 or October?
Their fiscal year starts November 1, and I believe they're scheduled to approve their budget. Do you know, Jeff? I think it's the first or second meeting of October.
Probably the way it's going right now, that's second.
Is it second? Okay.
Well, that's all I have about it. I just, like I said, it struck me kind of funny that the advisory board doesn't have information. And I thought that they would be the ones, and there are some boards that, I guess they're not down in the weeds and stuff. Board of Governors, stuff like that.
Okay.
Debbie, anything?
No.
So we can leave.
I entertain a motion to stand in recess.
So move.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank y'all. That's the only letter we've gotten on library board, and he lives in the city.
That's the second one that we got that lives in the city.
For library board appointment.